El Patron Juanpe Lopez back at the head of affairs, leading the peloton, showing his strength where he belongs. La Vuelta, stage 7. We had a big GC day yesterday. Polar opposite today. It was from Camargo to Cistierna, and there was a 20-kilometer, 6% climb smack bang in the middle, and no other climbs of note, and a 60-kilometer flat sort of downhill plateau afterwards. Very, very unusual stage design. Mild conditions for August in Spain, and here was the break. Not a 10-man, 15-man group, but it's very strong. It's got Goldstein, but Herrada, Sweeney, Battistella, Janssens, and Wright. And so the composition of it's very, very strong. Very versatile rouleurs, can climb well, it can push on the flat well. Wright's got a good sprint. Remco in the red jersey, easy day for him in Quickstep. Ideal day, because Trek and Bike Exchange, as you can see by putting riders at the front, were interested in bringing back this breakaway. But they were on 3:30 entering this 20k climb. And the problem is, for Pedersen, they could push pretty hard. Trek, Bike Exchange don't want to push too hard. Like, they've almost decided to try and catch the break on the climb. But if Wright, Sweeney, and Herrada, of course, a good climber, if they can climb at the same speed or faster than your sprinters, then you can't pace really harder than the break, and it's going to cost a lot of energy. So anyway, Trek were using resources on the climb. Merlier dropped. Bennett hung on pretty well, actually. Merlier was the sprinter to drop earliest. Kenny Ellison goes to front. The break has been whittled down by 40 seconds, but still 2:48. And that's just too much. They're not going to be able to bring that back on the climb. So then how are they going to bring it back on the flat plateau afterwards if the teammates have been used up? That's why usually you see the break kept on a much, much tighter leash before a climb like that, because it is so hard, even with 60Ks afterwards, to bring a group of these guys back. Because like Harara's doing it easy, and Wright and Sweeney climb really well on a 6% climb, and then Euskaltel riders on the front. So I'm thinking, Trek already spent all their bickies. Bike Exchange are worried about Groves dropping, so they're not really pacing with Durbridge. Juanpe accelerates. Kenny's done. And Pedersen's climbing really well. Like Tour de France 2020 shape. Look at him third wheel. He is flying on the climbs, but he can't chase the break himself after the climb. And there's now like two Trek teammates around him. And Juanpe's doing his best. Radio, necklace, everything swaying all over the place. Dan McClay's dropped with 2.8Ks to go. So Arkea aren't going to help afterwards. Bike Exchanger at the back, nursing Groves over with 2Ks to go. Bennett's, I think, goes out the back door at this point as well. And the breakers doing it easy. They haven't lost any time in the last 6Ks of the climb. And so Herrada takes the KOM points. Maybe he's going to go for that competition as well. And so for Trek, do they wait? Are Ineos going to help them? They've dropped Bennett and Merlier. Well, Plapp does start pacing. The gap is at 2:16 with 47Ks to go. But Ineos aren't going to commit any more resources. They've got like 4 GC contenders, well, maybe 3 GC contenders now after Carapaz fell out. And there's no time being put into this breakaway, which is working seamlessly well. And suddenly it stops. No one's pacing. Quickstepper at the front. The gap's gone out 20 seconds. It goes out another 10 seconds or so before Arkea come back to the front. So they had to wait in the end for Bennett and Bora. And then Bora have done a big effort and they don't really help as much as Bike Exchange and Arkea. Arkea do a good job. Durbridge is on the front pacing, but 25 you can't afford to give 25 seconds back to a breakaway like that. And 25, 30 seconds, they really matter in the end, especially when the cohesion of the breakaway is so good. And you see, now there's only one Bike Exchange rider on the front. Bora have put a rider forward to pace for them. Kenny's pacing, the gap's 1:30, and Bahrain moved to the front. They're starting to think about blocking for Fred Wright, who's probably the favourite from this group, who's very strong the other day. And you see, 2 Arkea, 3 Bike Exchange. But why isn't the gap moving too much? And it's because, again, the guys in the break are probably fresher. They did the climb relatively easier than those domestiques. And now with Bora pacing with 3.6Ks to go, we know the break is 100% winning. So why is Fred Wright pulling so hard? That's the question. He's maybe, you can't trust the time gaps with your life, and it is only 43 seconds. Maybe he wanted the pace to continue so he'd have a sprint because he doesn't want Sweeney to attack, or Janssens, who probably don't want to go to a sprint and they're better sort of rouleur type riders. But he still makes a mistake here. He goes to the front. It's a slightly downhill finish, fast finish draft. Extremely important on a finish like this, even though he is the favourite in the group. And Battistella's quite fast. Has been okay in some reduced kicks before, but he's not known as a sprinter. But when you lead out like 30 seconds. I think he kicked almost 25 to 30 seconds, even after sort of leading them out. That's when Wright kicks. So even if you are the superior sprinter on paper, giving a lead out like that with everyone in the wheel the whole time, coming out of your wheel with 50 meters to go, it flips the odds on its head. And Jesus Harada takes a surprise win ahead of Battistelli. He won fairly comfortably, actually. The Spanish rider on Cofidis from the group. I thought he was going to get in the break and win the stage yesterday, but he somehow wins a reduced group sprint against Battistella and Fred Wright. In terms of the GC group or the Peloton, Bennett won that sprint for 6th, and I think that was for points, so he extends his lead in the green jersey competition. GC, no changes. Evenepoel still 21 ahead of Millard, 28 ahead of Mars, 101 ahead of Roglic. We've got a pretty hard GC day tomorrow, the Funkaya climb. Got some medium mountain state climbs beforehand. Could be one to watch. Will Evenepoel do it again and drop everyone except Enric Mas on GC? I think it probably will. Whether it's raining, I don't think it's going to be super, super hot. But regardless, I'll see you with a recap of that stage tomorrow. Ciao.